Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke, and if you are a fan of all things Disney, you're probably going to want to go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Get that out of the way right now, because I have a lot of things to get to when it comes to Disney conversation. I feel like a lot of YouTube creators don't go above and beyond the requirements of a YouTube channel to upload the videos that you've known and loved for many, many years. I know there's always a conversation happening here about Descendants and Zombies, and I love talking about Descendants and Zombies, and I love talking to the fans of that franchise, because to be honest with each and every one of you, it has forever and always held a special place in my heart for its powerful music, its powerful characters, and its story that continues on from chapter to chapter, year after year. I know it's always 2.5 to 3 years before a new chapter of Descendants premieres, but I think it's had a lot to do with all the opportunities that your favorite Descendants stars have received outside of Descendants that they are taking full advantage of. Most recently, a world tour has been announced for Freya Sky, and I think everybody is going to take full advantage of this, because they are going to want to attend this tour just as they did the Worlds Collide tour this past summer. And off the great reviews that it got from fans, and one thing to be noted is the great reviews came from the fans, I think that Freya Sky's world tour is going to be just as phenomenal and just as outstanding, and I really wish I could be a part of it, but because of no Canadian dates, I won't be able to attend the tour. But that doesn't mean that I won't have the opportunity to watch it with you guys on YouTube, because fans will be uploading videos of this. Fans will be so excited to attend it, and I really think the energy is going to be at an all-time high. I think there should be some more concert dates also for Kylie Cantrell and Dove Cameron scheduled in recent months, because I think that in the forthcoming months, I think that Freya Sky is going to have an opportunity to shine more than ever before, and I really do believe that her star is going to shine brighter than perhaps any star that's ever been involved with Disney of more recency, because the reality of this is, I know and you know deep within your heart, Disney will never see stars like this again, or franchises that have forever and always held a special place in our heart because of the profound impact that these stars have forever and always had with our hearts. It's amazing to me how much of a fan response Freya Sky has gotten so early in her career. But this is exactly what I wanted to have happen for Freya. So the more love and support that we show for Freya Sky, the further she is going to go with her career and make all of her dreams become a reality. I've been seeing a lot of photos of Freya Sky and videos of Freya Sky playing the guitar of some of her songs, playing acoustic versions of songs off her EP. And I must say that these songs have captivated my heart and touched my hearts in so many unbelievable ways that I can't even begin to put into words for you guys. One thing I get from every video that Freya Sky throws up on social is that she has so much heart and dedication put behind every performance that she gives. So for somebody to sit on their YouTube channel every morning and criticize Freya Sky, I don't really think that's giving her much of a chance, because that's exactly what we have to do. We have to allow her to evolve, we have to allow her to experiment with different things, and when she finally realizes where she wants to take her career, we just have to be more than supportive than ever before of everything Freya's got going on. Because that's a lot of pressure on a girl's shoulder at just 16 years old. I mean, what I was doing at 16 years old was playing PlayStation 2 and uploading a scattered video to a YouTube channel. I wasn't really doing much at 16 years old. So for somebody to criticize what Freya Sky has done so early in life, I think that's pretty much just jumping to a conclusion. And if there's one thing that I hate doing as a journalist, is jumping to a conclusion without even analyzing the situation or doing some detective work and finding out what rumors are actually legit, like the recent announcement of Damiano David and Dove Cameron's engagement. I offered my condolences to them, and I think that definitely brighter futures are in store for both of them because of this, and they will receive more publicity than ever before. I think that as a journalist, you really got to know what you're talking about, and you've got to understand what your fans want to see on your YouTube channel. So if that's more Freya Sky videos, you've got to upload more Freya Sky videos. And in your Freya Sky videos, you've really got to show up and you've really got to be on point. And you've really got to understand how the fan feels about Freya Sky. Obviously, she is the most popular Disney star of all time right now because of her performance as Nova in Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires. And I must say, you guys were right about everything you were saying about Nova and Freya Sky. You were right. How she was able to bring this character to life. A kung fu fighting kind of girl was kind of really cool. A different vibe to bring to the Zombies franchise. And I think in the future, she's going to put those karate moves to work in ways that we never ever imagined because of the threats that we posed to Seabrook. And of course, shooting it in New Zealand, I think it was a beautiful location. It really allowed people like Malachi Burton and Freya Sky to bring these characters more to life than ever before, than perhaps Toronto probably they would have ever offered them the opportunity to bring those characters to life, and this story really. Because what you've got to think about is this is a new story, and this is something to be incredibly excited about because of the novelty that still revolves around this story, because we still have so many unanswered questions about what's going to happen next. I mean, people are just offering predictions about what's inside of that vortex. If you've suggested mermaids, if you've suggested witches, if you've suggested trolls and goblins, I support it. Because this is exactly the point that Disney has wanted you to get to. And what we saw at the end of Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires was basically just a teaser. So because people are suggesting mermaids, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be mermaids that are going to be revealed in the vortex. But the thing is, if you go all the way back to when Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires was first released, Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly were answering questions about their future with the franchise. They were talking about securing the future of this franchise, and then Milo Manheim, from out of nowhere, drops a teaser of the chances of us seeing zombies or seeing mermaids in the Zombies franchise. And I think that's what gave people the impression that we would get to a point where we would see mermaids and witches and sirens and pirates and all sorts of different things because of this vortex. So when we saw the vortex, the first thing we thought about was this interview that Milo Manheim had done with the suggestion of mermaids. Most recently, Freya Sky did an interview at the Halloween Fest where she had the question posed to her by the media if mermaids would see their introduction into the franchise. And we've seen everything, just about everything happen for this franchise. So I don't blame anyone for suggesting that we could see the chances of mermaids seeing their introduction into this franchise. And to be honest with each and every one of you, I live on this island for many, many years with a lot of stories that has been associated with mermaid tales for years. I have never encountered a mermaid in my lifetime, but I would love to take myself on the opportunity to have a run-in with a mermaid because they are so beautiful, they are so mysterious, and you never know quite what to expect with a mermaid because they use their powers in some of the most unreal ways. So I think that seeing mermaids be introduced into this franchise would be a great early on prediction to have made. But I don't think that we should really jump to a conclusion about what's inside of this vortex. Yes, we can make suggestions, but until the moment of reveal happens for us, that is when we will find out what is inside of this vortex, and some of our most unanswered questions will finally be answered for us. And I really appreciate that, how so many people have taken the discussion forums about zombies and, what's coming next. We obviously know there are a lot of world tours in the works for Freya Sky and Malachi Burton, so the question will forever and always remain, how long will they be a part of the Zombies franchise, and how long will they be able to keep it alive? Well, if you really think about it, with all these opportunities coming Freya Sky's way early on in life, and with people like Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim realizing that, I think that there's always a chance to create a new storyline that could compel Freya Sky to want to be a part of it for forever moving forward, or there's always a chance to introduce new cast members apart from Freya Sky and Malachi Burton's story. Now, I know a lot of people are excited about that story, but if you want to keep a franchise going, what you've got to do is you've always got to have new characters that want to have a future because of the Disney company and because of Nickelodeon. And I think we have seen so many potential stars that could see their introduction into this franchise, but I really do believe that for people suggesting they're running out of supernatural characters to see their introduction into this franchise, again, it's jumping to a conclusion that they want to see, and just because they want to get reactions out of you. So if you shut down the hopes and dreams of every critic out there and say, okay, we will see Zombies 5 happen, we just don't know when, I think that's pretty much not giving them what they want. But if you turn around and you give them the reactions that they want, then the dreams and hopes of every critic out there is revealed. I think that if you have a prediction about zombies, I think it's something to be valued, and I think this is why Disney should be taking more of a serious look at what fans want to have seen in the Zombies franchise, because if you have a greater appreciation for the supernatural like I do, and have watched every supernatural TV series or movie from the X-Files to Supernatural, then you have a greater appreciation for everything that could be with Supernatural and could be associated with the Zombies franchise. Because believe you me, regardless of what's inside of this vortex, this story is far from over. So I think that the more people who believe in this story being far from over, the more excited we can become about Zombies 5. Now, I know the rumored release date is suggesting up until 2028, and I know that it feels like forever away for a lot of people. But let me tell you guys something. every sequel to every successful franchise happens probably 4 or 5 years down the road. And why it happens 4 or 5 years down the road is because of a story development, a plot development, more characters being introduced into the franchise. Like when they created Spider-Man for the first time back in 2002. And that was before many of you were alive, but I remember being a huge fan of the first ever live-action Spider-Man. And the first week of its premiere, the cinema was packed. I couldn't get a ticket, and I had to resort to seeing some stupid Dwayne Johnson movie. I think it was The Scorpion King. But 2 weeks later, I went to see Spider-Man after the hype had died down. And I remember how I was so excited to see a live-action Spider-Man movie for the first time ever in my lifetime. And then Spider-Man 2 came by 2004. That was 2.5 years after the first Spider-Man movie had been dropped. I was so excited to see Peyton List's first cameo in a movie ever. She was supposed to be in this scene where she was standing on the doorsteps of an apartment and Spider-Man was supposed to swing by her, and they cut it out before the production of the Spider-Man movie had finished. And a lot of people have wondered for forever what happened to this scene with Peyton List as just 7 years old being involved in this scene. She would go on to be a part of a series called Jessie and Bunked and achieve so much virality, and every day I see new updates about Peyton List on social media because of what was supposed to have meant to have been happening for Peyton List. But I remember how far apart the Spider-Man release dates were. And even though the release dates for the Spider-Man movies were so far apart, I was so much more excited for Spider-Man 2 and eventually Spider-Man 3 by 2007, and it became one of my favorite movie franchises of all time. So I can understand why each and every one of you would be so excited and so heartbroken over the fact that Zombies 5 won't be happening until many of you are teenagers. But the thing you've got to think about is, with Zombies 5 happening not until you guys are teenagers, up until that point, you will have a greater appreciation and a greater understanding of how much this story is going to mean to each and every one of your hearts. For those of you who are very upset that Victor and Nova didn't kiss in the first Zombies movie that they were a part of, that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. They're just building it up, and they want to have more of a story to give them a reason to share a kiss, which will be very passionate. I mean, you could have had them share a kiss in the very first movie, which was originally intended, but I really believe you have to create more of a story and give them more of a reason to fall deeper in love. Just because it didn't happen for them in Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. We just don't know when. It might not happen until Zombies 7, but even if it doesn't happen until Zombies 7, I think we'll be more appreciative of all the moments they will have created and present us with a chance to become a fan of. Because I guarantee you there will be more moments with Victor and Nova's characters that you will be a fan of and you will be more appreciative of if you just give it time. Because the thing about time is we never know how much time we have left. So because we never know how much time we have left, we have to be appreciative of just how valuable time is. And I think Descendants, on the other side of the spectrum, did a fabulous job of really putting that in perspective for so many people of so many different age demographics. But just because, I want you to think about this, just because you haven't seen Victor and Nova share a passionate kiss, which was originally intended for Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, and they cut it out, doesn't mean that it won't happen. And if I was the writer and producer behind Descendants of Zombies, you would be guaranteed to see it, regardless of when, where, and how it happened, and how it was derived, and how it came to be. You would see it. Because I think that no matter how old you are, you believe in true love, and you believe in happily ever after. And that's something I forever and always wanted to encourage for every single person who may have felt like they were in love with someone who they thought they could spend the rest of their lives with, who only thought of it as a dream. But when it finally becomes a reality for you and you do find true love, it means so much more to your heart than ever intended. So I think that no matter how young you are, you would understand the idea of Victor and Nova kissing, you would understand just how valuable true love is, and it's something that you would definitely take full advantage of. Now I know Disney cut it out of the script because a lot of people who were watching it were really young, and I understand that and I get that. But I think that no matter what age demographic you're talking about, they are far more smarter and far more appreciative of every moment for zombies than a lot of people tend to think about. So I think that if you have a dream for something, especially happening for the Zombies franchise, then you should continue on believing in that. Because I think we've all had dreams for something to happen in the Zombies franchise. And there are far more many supernatural characters to see an introduction into this franchise. Because zombies, werewolves, vampires, mermaids are just one of many ways of looking at what kind of twists and turns this plot could take. And that's what I'm excited to be a part of, the future. Because we don't know what the future has in store, and we have more of a reason than perhaps ever before to be excited about a wonderful future for the Zombies franchise, one that I'm incredibly excited to be a part of moving forward. Because I know a lot of people just don't want to see a future for Zombies and Descendants, but I will tell you guys from my heart to yours that I am incredibly excited for one about the future of the Zombies franchise, because We don't know what's coming next, and I will have more to say on this on my third podcast later on this afternoon when it will pop up in my archives, because I really do believe that this conversation doesn't have to be over. While so many people will suggest that this story is far from over, that's what you should be suggesting, as apart from what the critics are trying to make you believe about this release date happening for Zombies, but how this has to happen for the Zombies franchise, how this is meant to happen, what's the reason behind why Victor and Nova never kissed. There are so many ways to create so many unbelievable rumors about the Zombies franchise and teasers. But the most of the teasers that you watch on YouTube are pretty much just AI, and they're leading you down a road of false hope. And I have never ever wanted to do that with you guys. Every single night that you watch a video about Descendants and Zombies, you come to a fork in the road, and it's an invisible fork. So one path will take you down the path of the right kind of videos to watch, and the other path will take you down a path of videos that are filled with obscurity and misleading information. And if you take the right path every single night that you come to the fork in the road, kind of like Ichabod Crane from The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which is one of my favorite tales of all time, I think that if you take the right path and you believe in your heart and what your heart is telling you is going to happen for Descendants and Zombies, then that is something to be very encouraged by, because your heart has forever and always been your best friend. I will forever believe that this is one of these musicals that Disney can't afford to make any mistakes with. So they really got to be on case and point with the Descendants franchise, because they can't afford to make any mistakes with this in the foreseeable future. Because if you make more mistakes with the Descendants franchise, then the franchise is going to lose respect. It's going to lose fans. And that's something that you don't want to have happen, especially with over 10 million people being crazy about Descendants and Zombies. And let me tell you guys something. That is a number that I take very seriously. And I think there's a lot of pride that goes with recording each video about Descendants and Zombies, because if you have 10 million people who are fans of Descendants and Zombies, then you've really got to show up and really got to be on point with every video that you record about Descendants and Zombies. You can just show up and talk about Descendants and Zombies, but I think there's a greater pride that goes with talking about a franchise, especially with how much of a fan you are of it. Because I know what it's like to be a fan of shows like Hercules, Gargoyles, Bonkers, Boy Meets World. I couldn't be more excited for the latest episode of Boy Meets World. Every Friday night as part of the TGIF block, I was in front of my TV at 8 p.m. Eastern for ABC's TGIF because of Boy Meets World. I will never forget the date of its premiere, September 24th, 1993. Its series finale on May 5th, 2000. And I remember how much of a story was derived from Cory and Topanga's friendship and relationship. They had so many challenges to have to overcome, but each time a new challenge presented itself in the story, it kept us watching. And I couldn't have been more proud to be a fan of Boy Meets World. So I can understand why you were so proud, feeling the way you do about Descendants and Zombies. And that's something I want to keep with you guys for forever. I've never ever wanted to take away your hopes and dreams about Descendants and Zombies continuing on for the foreseeable future, because I really do believe there is so much of a future for us to experience and to be a part of for these franchises, and so many predictions that we could make about witches, sirens, trolls, goblins, mermaids. I think a lot of this has to do with the first teaser that was dropped by Milo Manheim over 2.5 years ago, when he said probably mermaids will see their introduction into the Zombies franchise forthcoming, although we have yet to see confirmation on that. I would be really excited about it, because I think that it would create a lot of storylines and a lot of chapters in the Zombies franchise that we have never seen before, and a lot of great songs too for an upcoming soundtrack. Because Zombies for Dawn of the Vampires, I got to get this in there too, had one of the best soundtracks ever for a Zombies movie. When you talk about this franchise, they have one of the best soundtracks ever that we'd ever been a part of. And I think that the people who chose to criticize it because of its music never really wanted to give it a chance from the very beginning. You know, the concept of vampires coming into the franchise may have been interesting to them, but when they saw the plot be derived, they quickly lost interest in it. So they just resorted to criticizing it because they just couldn't make sense of it. You know, why Disney had gone this far with a franchise. Basically what Disney does is they present us with a franchise and they wait to see how we're going to respond to it. And if the response is phenomenal, then they keep on going with it from chapter to chapter. Years ago, Disney could never get past 4 seasons of a show or getting past producing a trilogy. But now what we're seeing is 5, 6, 7 seasons for shows that go on to achieve so much rarity. And I really do believe that Zombies is one of those franchises that actually have a chance of achieving more rarity than perhaps ever before, and I'm really excited about it. I would also love to see a crossover promotional kind of thing done with Descendants and Zombies, like for a movie or a TV show, because there's so much that you can create and so much of an opportunity that will forever present itself for the Zombies franchise to be a part of something spectacular. And I, for one, am incredibly excited about this future. I never want to see this come to an end, guys, and I'm going to do everything in my power to be a part of it and to make sure that if we're going to talk about Descendants and Zombies, we're going to talk about it in the way that it's forever and always meant to be talked about, because I could never be more excited to sit in this chair in front of this microphone and break down Descendants and Zombies in the way that I believe that it's forever and always meant to be talked about. Guys, from my heart to yours, seriously, thank you so much. We will talk more about Descendants and Zombies in the coming hours of this day, so if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you're probably going to want to go ahead right now and get that out of the way, because I have a lot to say where Descendants and Zombies goes, and I think this really is a conversation that never really has to come to an end, because I think we can keep this conversation going for just a little while longer, and I would love for you guys to be a part of that conversation with me. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to have been your voice of Descendants and Zombies for however long it's been. I've kind of lost track. Thank you guys so much for watching the latest episode of Jonathan Clarke Video Blogs. There will be a third video uploaded later on this afternoon. Keep watching for that to drop in my archives. Until then, guys, keep Descendants and Zombies in your heart forever and always, because if there's one franchise or franchises that forever and always deserves a special place in our hearts, it's got to be Descendants and Zombies, because that's where our heart lies. It's Descendants and Zombies or die all the way, guys. Stay calm and zombie on, guys, into the foreseeable future. More conversation is coming your way throughout today. Thank you guys so much for watching.